The most important special form of all is the lambda expression. Lambda expressions work like this. They evaluate to user-defined procedures. So you have a whole expression that starts with lambda, and when you evaluate it, you get a new procedure that you didn't have before. It has formal parameters and a body. So for instance, if I write lambda x is times xx, this defines a procedure that squares things. Now, how do we encode this? Well, in Python, we're actually going to introduce a class called the lambda procedure class, which has a formal parameter list, a body, and an environment. So this is a scheme list of symbols that tells us what are the names of the arguments that we pass in, a scheme expression, which tells us what to evaluate when we call or apply this lambda procedure, and then a frame that tells us what's the first frame in the environment in which this lambda procedure was originally defined. Let's talk a little bit about frames and environments. A frame represents an environment by having a parent frame. So a frame is always the first frame in some environment. It has a parent frame, and it has a parent frame, and eventually you get to the global frame, and then you have your whole environment. Frames are Python instances with two important methods, lookup and define. And in Project 4, frames don't actually hold any return values. They just hold the name value bindings that are used for lookup. So let's do this example in code. We're going to have a global frame with y bound to 3 and z bound to 5, and then another frame f1 with x bound to 2 and z bound to 4. Okay, so I'm going to start up scheme, and then I'm going to quit out of it right away. Now I'm back in Python. Remember Python? And in Python, we've loaded up all of the different functions and classes that we've defined for our scheme interpreter. So we have a frame, we have a function called schemeEval, etc. Okay, so let's make G a frame that has no parent. So G is the global frame. And then let's make F1 a frame that has G as a parent. So F1 is a frame which currently has no bindings within it and starts an environment that's followed by the global frame. Now, I believe I had said I was going to bind y to 3 and z to 5. So now if I look up y, if I look up y, I'll get 3, and if I look up z, I'll get 5. Okay, so now we're going to actually define x to be 2 in the F1 frame, and define z to be 4 in the F1 frame. So what does F1 look like now? Well, it has x bound to 2, z bound to 4, and it's followed by the global frame. So if I look up x, I'll get 2. If I look up z, I'll get 4, which is interesting because z is also defined to be 5 in the global frame. But remember, we look in the local frame before we look in the global frame, just like in Python. And so here we are. We can look up z, but we can also look up y, even though it's not in the local frame. We can find it in the global frame. So we look here first, there's no y, so we find it there.